Dalawang babaeng may kaugnayan sa maanumalyang flood control projects ay masaklap ang naging katapusan. Yung isa, nakakulong na. Yung isa, umanaw na. Although yung isa, hindi pa naman masasabing katapusan na. Hindi kagaya nung isa na talagang wala na, tapos na, hindi na makakapagsalita. Yan po ang naging kapalaran ni Sara Diskaya at ni Maria Catalina Cabral. Usap-usapan po ngayon ang pagkakahuli kay Sara Diskaya. At siya nga po ngayon ay nakakulong na. Noon nang inaresto si Sara Diskaya, nagawa pa niyang magbiro.
Happy, yes.
Ma'am, sandali lang po. Sandali lang po.
Pero kitang-kita mo ang desperation at ang takot sa kanyang muka. Dahil alam niya simula na ng kanyang bangungot. Nung pinapanood ko nga siya I felt pity, awa, dahil niya may mga anak siya. Tapos yung asawa pa niya, si Curly Diskaya, ay nakadetain sa Senate. Yung takot kitang-kita mo sa mata ni Sara Diskaya dahil non-bailable po yung kanyang kaso. At alam niya na matatagalan siya dyan sa kulungan. To think na malapit na magpasko. So ayan, nagsimula na po. Isa-isa na pong makukulong yung dapat makulong. Ang aantabayanan natin, yung sinasabing mga senador na magpapasko din daw sa kulungan. Although ang pagkakaalam natin, December 15 daw, i-issuehan na ng warrant of arrest yung dalawang senador. Kaya lang, anong petsa na ngayon? Andyan pa rin po sila sa palipaligid. Sabi naman ng iba, due process daw kasi. Pero pasasaan ba? Bago matapos ang taon na to, ay selda din ang kanilang patutunguhan. So iniisip ko si Sara Diskaya. Just a year ago, nung hindi pa pumuputok itong anomalya sa DPWH, ang pakiramdam nila, they were on top of the world. Hindi nga ba at finoflaunt pa nila on national TV ang kanilang kayamanan, ang kanilang karangyaan. Tapos biglang nag-umpisa ang kanilang nightmare nung nasangkot sila dito sa flood control anomalies. Ano kaya ang masasabi ni Rodante Marcoleta sa sinapit ni Sara Diskaya? Naniwala kasi ang mag-asawang to kay Marcoleta na hindi sila makukulong dahil sila ay gagawing state witness. Hindi nga ba panay ang kuda ni Marcoleta? Dahil binibigyan pa ng deal itong mag-asawa na kailangan magbalik sila ng pera bago sila gawing state witness na mariing tinututulan ni Marcoleta. Bakit daw kailangan mo na magbalik ng pera kung gagawin din lang naman silang state witness? So ayan na. Yan ang resulta ng pagmamatigas ni Marcoleta. Nakakulong na si Sara Diskaya. Maawa man tayo dahil siyempre may mga anak siya, may pamilya siya. Kaya lang ganun po talaga ang law of karma. Nagpasasa kayo sa pera ng bayan, kaya dumating na ang panahon na dapat kayong similin. Di bali, nagpasasa naman kayo ng gusto Mula 2016, nung bigla kayong yumaman, hanggang last year, nung hindi pa lumalabas tong isyong ito. You were living the high-end life. Pero at least, si Sara Diskaya po ay buhay pa. Pwede pa siyang kumanta, pwede pa siyang magsalita. Sabihin niya na lahat kung sino yung mastermind. Kailangan niya nang magsalita unless gusto niya maging sacrificial lamb at akuin niya lahat ng kasalanan. Nasa kanya na po yan. So aabangan po natin kung ano ang magiging susunod na hakbang ni Sara Diskaya. Tuluyan na ba siya magsasalita o tuluyan na siyang mananahimik? Ang mas nakakagimbal, itong balita kagabi sa nangyari kay resigned DPWH Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral. Cabral was the DPWH official who confirmed before the House Infra Committee a previous report that the district of Paulo Duterte bagged 51 billion in infra projects during his father's term. Did she harm herself or did someone want it to appear as such? Sabi dito sa balita, she had reportedly been feeling the pressure not only from the investigative process but also from menacing characters implicated in her field of work. So syempre dito po sa pagkamatay ni Cabral, magpapaligsahan po ng balita ang magkabilang kampo. Sa isang banda, sasabihin nila, connect the dots. Si Cabral ang nagsiwalat ng balitang tumanggap ng 51 billion pesos in infra projects ang distrito ni Paulo Duterte. Sa kabilang banda naman, gagawa sila ng istorya na ang kampo ni President Bongbong Marcos ang nagpagurgur dito kay Cabral at palilitawin na ang may pakana nito ay ang mga Duterte. So dapat ito maimbestigahan talaga. Kung hindi, ang pagkamatay ni Cabral ay mababaliwala na lang. Pero para mas maliwanagan po natin, basahin ko po itong report sa 31 million movement. Who benefits most from her untimely death? Strange how the moment she could explain everything, she is no longer here. Nakakapagtaka naman talaga eh. Naumpisahan niya ng magsalita tungkol dun sa 51 billion project sa distrito ni Paulo Duterte. Kung kailan pwede niya na ipaliwanag lahat at isang bulat kung ano ang nalalaman niya, biglang nawala siya. Maria Catalina Cabral did not die in a vacuum. She died at a very specific moment, under very specific circumstances, with very specific consequences. Kasi kung iisipin natin talaga, hindi naman siya basta-basta magpapatiwakal. Someone must be behind all of this. Let us lay down what we know. On the night of December 18, Cabral was found unconscious near the Bued River along Cannon Road, around 20 to 30 meters below the highway. By 12:03 a.m. on December 19, she was declared dead. Hours later, according to her driver, she asked to be left alone along the road at around 3 p.m. When he returned, she was gone. Hindi man lang ba nagtaka yung driver, bakit nagpapaiwan yung kanyang amo sa gilid ng kalsada? Kaya lang siguro during that time, ano naman ang iisipin ng driver? O nung bumalik siya, wala na si Cabral. That alone should raise eyebrows. But timing turns suspicion into something heavier. Ilang araw lang bago ang kanyang kamatayan, Cabral failed to appear at the December 15 hearing of the Independent Commission for Infrastructure o yung ICI, a commission probing multi-billion peso anomalies in the DPWH, an investigation already shaking long-protected networks, contractors, and political patrons. At ngayon, nabawasan ng isang taong pwedeng mag-testify. Nabawasan ng isang taong pwedeng magpaliwanag. At nabawasan ng isang taong pwedeng mag-connect the dots. Pero bakit ba importanteng mapatahimik si Cabral? Dahil si Cabral po was not just another official. As former Undersecretary for Planning and Public-Private Partnership, she held one of the most powerful yet least visible posts in government budgeting. Colleagues, including Senior USEC Roberto Bernardo, were explicit. She had the authority to remove, include, deduct, or modify budget insertions in the National Expenditure Program or yung NEP. In simple terms, she was the gatekeeper. She knew how billions were inserted, who requested them, which projects were prioritized, and how questionable items survived scrutiny. In any probe centered on budget manipulation, her testimony was not just helpful, it was foundational. On September 14, 2025, DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon officially accepted Cabral's courtesy resignation. This did not happen quietly or randomly. Her resignation came immediately after Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson publicly alleged that Cabral had contacted the office of then Senate President Tito Soto to ask for their wish list or budget insertions for the proposed 2026 national budget. That allegation struck at the heart of the budget process. It suggested that the gatekeeper was no longer just processing requests, but possibly actively soliciting insertions. She resigned. The questions did not. Cabral's position placed her at the crossroads of policy, money, and political influence. In that context, names like Eric Yap and Paulo Duterte repeatedly surfaced in public discussions surrounding DPWH-linked projects and influence networks. To be clear, raising connections is not the same as making accusations. But serious investigations operate on one rule: relationships matter. And this is where the picture gets darker. At the center of the controversy are allegations that Representative Eric Yap of Benguet and Representative Paulo Duterte of Davao City were key movers behind 36 billion pesos worth of rock netting and slope protection projects, particularly in the Cordillera region and Benguet. So, lumitaw ang pangalan ni Eric Yap sa ni Paulo Duterte. So, siya po ang key witness dito. She was widely regarded as the only official who could fully explain the paper trail, how 51 billion pesos was concentrated in a single district, who requested the insertions, and who gave the final approval. But then, ultimate silence. As the architect and gatekeeper of these allocations, her death on December 19, 2025 severely hampers the government's ability to determine whether these funds were legitimate or part of a broader kickback or scam network, possibly involving contractors like Diskaya and political allies of the former administration. Without her voice, the trail grows cold. Without her testimony, accountability blurs. So tanong natin, sino ang magbe-benefit sa pagkawala ni Cabral? Sana po maimbestigahan ng gusto itong pagkamatay ni Cabral. At balita natin, pinasisecure na yung mga gadgets ni Cabral tulad ng kanyang laptop, cellphones, at kung saan pa nandoon ang mga impormasyon na maaaring maging vital sa mga isiniwalat ni Cabral tungkol sa 51 billion pesos sa distrito ni Paulo Duterte. Until such time, wala po tayong magagawa kundi ang hintayin ang magiging investigasyon at ang kalalabasan ng pagkawala ni Cabral. Meron niya bang nagpatahimik sa kanya? Or hindi niya na nakaya yung pressure at winakasan na lang niya ang kanyang buhay? Kayo po, ano ang masasabi ninyo? Comment lang po down below and I will see you in my next video. Diyos ti Admina.